Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you see my Warframe? Today's going to be a good one. Okay. I shouldn't say that. Actually, not a lot has happened in the ARG over the course of this week. But what did happen, well, it's probably one of the most substantial things that we've gotten to see yet. So, let's get to it. First things first, always. When you logged in, I think it was, what was it, a couple days ago? This is based upon the last stream where we got to the end. Nothing really too new occurred. I will go over everything that we have up to this point, though. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you all. So happy everybody got a chance to be here. Thank you for joining me. I am not late this time. I actually, I'm here. Well, thank you, Cap Gamer. Appreciate that. That's very nice. And I'm glad you love the skin. It's the look I'm going to be going for whenever when we do Warframe 1999. So, oh, 25. Nice. Good job. Well, I mean, if nothing else, it is a kind of a nice, you know, easy thing to listen to while you are getting the groceries. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's great to see everybody. Thank you for being here again. Hold on, I just got to do my quick check of the orbiter, like I typically try to do, to make sure my man isn't here. He's actually been he's been hiding. I haven't seen him in a while, so it's usually. I think I do. You mean with the backpack? Yeah, I do. Um, but I've been just keeping him au naturel, if you will. Now, one of the things that is new is we got a new metro incident. Expect delays, right? Which was very, very weird. That is the Xbox helmet. And I do believe this was basically off of the dead drop from before. So anybody that had essentially went to the website from before with the telephone where the message had basically told us, hey, you know, there's a dead drop waiting there. The first thing that I think most people would have assumed when they saw this was, hey, we got to go back to the metro area, right? So when we do that, oops. I gotta switch over on my thing. When we actually get to the metro area, for the people that were here last time, but maybe didn't get a chance to log on to Warframe, or you're just kind of following this on your own, you probably can remember that, well, this wasn't here last time. Interesting that the context of this is crazy because, you know, when you really think about it, this is supposed to be placed within 1999, right? And this drop was meant for us, obviously, to get. And it's really kind of like I don't know if it's, you want to say it's fourth wall breaking, but the existence of the comic for 1999 within 1999, to me at least, says that, follow me on this, the comic in this oh no, Um, it said that OBS Studio just disconnected. Is that true? Can you guys still see me? Hmm, that was weird. Okay, that was weird. I don't know what happened there, but anyway, what I was getting at is that this isn't a comic. Like I said, it. Well, let's get into what it actually shows. And I got to say, this comic is fantastic. By the way, I enjoyed this very much. And in fact, will be in the video upcoming on Wednesday because it again fits in perfectly with what already my the theory I had from like a month ago. Everything that Warframe has dropped since then has lined up completely with what I already thought in little bits and pieces. But let's go to the comic itself. So if you go to it, you actually get, yes, this Wednesday we'll have probably my most comprehensive, far-reaching theory video I've ever done. Easily took me the longest out of any other theory video I can think of as far as just gathering stuff, mainly because there's just so much information with everything we have, with all the quests over the course of the year, with everything that we know from Whispers, the things that happened in the New War, the Duviri paradox. You have Angels of the Zeraman, all these things, even going back to the War Within, little other things, introduction of certain people at certain times, particular Orican who just so happened to show up out of nowhere. It's not next Wednesday. It's this Wednesday. It's in a couple days. 3 days. So again, it's going to be, I hope you're all there. This is definitely the most fun video I've ever done, but also most difficult because of just everything that I've had to incorporate into it. But again, you'll see little bits and pieces of even this. It's all going to be in there. So it'll actually be good for us to go over this by this webcomic, which, like I said, amazing. Cam Rogers. I'm not sure. Is TPG Carew, is that another person or is that like a publishing company? I'm not 100% certain. I don't want to. It will be at 10 p.m. EST. But they did just remarkable work on this. So we're going to go into it because this gives a much more definitive description of what occurred between Entrati and the Hex, even before a lot of the additional Technocyte stuff is coming into play. So it's definitely more fleshed out as far as what's occurred versus just getting that, like, third-hand account, if you would, by Entrati and the little things that Arthur's saying here and there. So here we go. Warframe 1999. I think that one does. I'm not 100% certain on our Helminth. But that's going to be something that I'm going to bring up in the video, is that I do believe there is a distinction in the infestation that we see in 1999 versus the one that we already have, mainly in the idea that if you go back to Nora's discussions with Latrox Un, who was talking about the infestation essentially like fearing the void, that in itself to me says that our understanding of the infestation is not void introduced, and the Warframe's power, again, only because we haven't actually seen a Warframe work without a Tenno. Do you know what I'm saying? I it's kind of a weird thing. Like, the only one that you can actually say is Umbra. That's it. And he has his own kind of situation going on. I don't know that, I can't say definitively that Umbra works in the same way that the Hex work, in the same way that other Warframes work, especially when you're talking about primes versus regulars. And, you know, there's just all kinds of different variations. So I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes into play when we talk about the different frames having sentience. It's that variations do different things. That seems to me to be the most logical explanation, given what, you know, what all we've been shown. So, and in here in this particular comic book, we're going to now see kind of how this thing came about, which appears to be, on the surface at least, kind of different from, let's say, from what we experienced with Umbra. You know, so again, I don't know that where everything is going to situate in the end, as far as like Warframes and sentience and stuff, because they seem to be kind of moving pieces around to account for perhaps lore inconsistencies. So, I mean, there you go. That's a really good question as far as the Archons are concerned. Like, they are their own type of entity. Clearly void powered with the Archon shards. What I always was questioned, I would like to, again, I hope at some point they actually go into some of the old war, because I would love to see some of the things occurring during then. Like, I would love to see how the Archons worked. Were shards, you know, the catalyst back then too? How do you come about Archon shards? Like, how do you create them? Because they seem to be, you know, fairly capable in what they can accomplish. Yet we've only seen that instance of them, really, outside of just being like used in game for different things, you know. Not necessarily like explained in any way. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's do this. And let's see, especially for those who haven't got a chance to see this yet, this is going to blow your mind. That's what I'm going to tell you. If you haven't read this yet, get ready. So here we go. We all have families. Families we'll never see again. That may be for the best, given what we've become. Now, in these first two passages here, we can actually see, and down here before we even speak, they're pretty beat up. Amir says, do you want to die? I don't want to die. Those guys on the way here, they want us to die. And Aoi is, then they're going to love your plan, Amir. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but in the back here, is this a Fervon, Effervon, Enfervon? Because I was playing, because I'm doing aspects with Dark Sector and stuff like that, like, I can't remember what they call it anymore. That's one of them. Effervon, okay. But it's different. It's like Enervon or something like that in Enferon. That's right. Okay, cool. That's right. So, page 2, or I guess it'd be page 4 here. Out of time. Get ready to move. The man who did this to us told me we had a choice. To live or die. Shit. And that if we did not choose quickly, Now, before I go any further here, you can actually see. I don't know. Let me ask you something. Should I make the? You want me to zoom in at all, or can you all see the comic pretty well? We can clearly see that every single one of the hex at this point has been injured pretty badly. But what you're going to find out in a little bit is the nefariousness of it all. How's that? A little bit better? I can just scroll down. It's no big deal. Very important thing to see here. That this, whenever they have the man, that's the believe. Stream comments aren't updating? Maybe, I wonder if that's what it was. Better? Oh, that's okay. So maybe that's what. That is weird. Is it still doing it? Okay, maybe it's just a delay. Let me know if that's still doing that. I apologize. Clearly, we can see this would be our technocyte, the virus, but this is going to most likely be the one that is void infused, and you'll see why in a second. Make note of Quincy up here. He's kind of an ass, no offense. Okay, moving forward. If we didn't make that choice quickly, that choice would be made for us. So the Scourger are pretty much right at their heels. The serum might get us out of this. Maybe that's why he gave us these extra dosage. Sorry. Friday played us once, and look what we turned into. You really want to go 2 for 2? Oi. Eyes on Eleanor. Yeah. God damn it, Eleanor. We're doing it. I think I'm getting the hang of this. Time to go. Okay, on 3. We can basically see they are in complete chaos at this point. But there's a few things I do want to... Yeah, I mean, Nyx just looks really good. But there's a couple things I definitely want to bring up here because it's important. First of all, what we get from this information here is that Entrati, Dr. Friday, has now tricked the Hex twice. And I think it's important to mention that. Because the way that Entrati visual or vocalizes this, right? Well, let's actually go to it. Oh, yeah. No, Eleanor's got all the game, guys. So, let's just see here. Go to the fragments. Let me just do one thing. I'll start it over again. Can everybody hear? Hey, Cyber. Oh, is there no... Hold on. That might be my fault. Wait a second. I was recording something else, and I may have messed up all the audio. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. This happens when you're constantly flipping over between things to try to get the music out of things. All right, let's do it again now. Okay. So,
I went among the denizens of the plague year like a savior, my hands filled with healing. To those who volunteered, I brought more than mere health. Their bodies were primed. It needed only the Helminth infusions brought from my own time to work the alchemy of transformation. They have become partial Warframes, still in possession of their free will, yet enhanced, void-attuned, capable.
okay. Now, why I brought that particular thing up is that the way that Entrati, the way that he describes him administering this to the hex is more like he came as like the savior. Oh, and he's just helping everybody, and you know, oh, it's good. Look, I came as a savior with my hands filled with healing, and you know that these were my people, and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, when you go to the comic, the exact same thing is being shown, but from a completely different perspective. And I have to say that they don't seem, the poor Hex don't seem like they view him as this savior or this with his hands filled with healing. And why I want to bring that up is because, oh yeah, she's going to be here all day. That's just how it's going to be. This puts into question the context of everything that Entrati has already spoken to us with. If he lies here, if he bends the truth to make himself look better within his these like documents that apparently, you know, he wants people to you know, he wants them to look at him in a particular way. Who's ever going to be reading these things, it's funny that his interpretation of what happened is much different than the ones who actually were administered. And yes, you're right, Rays. So he played them, and he thinks it's a cure, but it doesn't seem like they believe it to be a cure. And you're going to see, as we get a little bit deeper into this comic, that it's more of a trap. So let's move on. So, at this point, this is when they decide to use that secondary dose. 1, 2, 3. Eleanor is already out there. And Arthur tells us Amir has electricity. Aoi, electromagnetism. Magnetism. Electromagnetism. There it is. Eleanor, my sister, got pain. Pain. And my God, she looks so cool right there. No offense. She just looks fantastic. But I do feel bad for her. And rage. But she looks fantastic. It's hard to make out what's here. Hold on. What is that? Doesn't it almost look like these faces are like snowballs? What is that, her chin? I can't tell what that is. Oh, that's the eyewear of the Scaldra. Okay, sorry. It pretty much is. And that was apparently the last time that anybody got to hear from Eleanor, because Eleanor hasn't spoken a word since he changed us. Dr. Friday, the man who made us what we are. The only one who can undo what he did. Yeah, suck it. Haha. And our only chance at exfiltrating Holvania. So, the crazy part about this is now, whereas he says, and again, it still appears like Arthur has in his mind the idea that Entrati can fix what he's done to them. But I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. I'll get into, so I don't want to get too much into that, what you're asking there, Eternally, because too much of it is going to go into what I'm going to present on Wednesday. And I know I've been kind of feeding you all this for a couple weeks now, but I promise when the video comes, it will be worth it. I promise you. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to, I'm actually kind of curious to see what, where things are going to head with all this. Now it says, before they silence us for good. And I can't, let me see. Did anybody already get this translated? Because I'd have to get my little thing out. I'm still not fluent in it yet. Yeah, well, because Scaldra, in my opinion, Scaldra are being essentially led by, for lack of a better term, proto-Orican. Like, what will turn out to be Orican and their language will be who will end up most likely residing over the Scaldra, who, I mean, we can all pretty much tell they're going to be Grenier, right? Is that what it says? Visual on Insurgents? Thank you. I appreciate that, because like I said, I'm not fluent. I still need my little, I have like a little cheat sheet. Thank you, Armia. So basically you have all of the Hex doing their best to get out of this situation. It says, faff all you want, mains, I'm breezing off. That's going to, I do believe that's Quincy there. Arthur's still coughing, having probably the worst time of things, and you're going to see why in a second. I ain't dying till I shagged a supermodel, and that's a fact. So that's got to be Quincy. Now we have Arthur basically looking for Eleanor. And here's where I'm going to... I said this in a while ago, but Quincy just keeps proving himself over and over again to just not be... He's definitely not a team player, because you have him here saying when everybody else is kind of banding together, you know, trying to help with Arthur, you have just the one outcast. Are you mental? He's slowing us down. Leave him. To which, you know, the rest of the Hex obviously aren't going to do, but he even pushes it further. You two are going to get us head-topped for real. Blow our ride. Blow our rides are waiting. And then even he sees something that, stops him in his tracks. Which, to be quite honest with you, I think, given Quincy's character, is pretty significant, right? Well, maybe because English is the original language of Orkin. Yes, Alex, I am going to be doing that, like kind of just a recap of everything. I think it's the easiest thing to do because trying to get all this stuff out of my streams, with how I move back and forth between things would just be absurd. So, and here he is again, still going on with, I told you should have left him. Thankfully, we get a Tommy cycle come right in there. And this is where things get good. There is a non-zero chance taking one more dose of Friday's serum won't kill us. And, Quincy being who he is there's a non-zero chance that you can blow me. Friday wouldn't go to this trouble just to kill us. He could do that anywhere. So we take it or we die. Friday needs us to take it under these conditions. Made sure we'd have no choice. Why? Why do all that? Because everything here is part of Entrati's plan. It's just a field test. So now we skip back a little bit to where everything was set up. Because now we're kind of getting an idea, but they're going to go a little bit deeper into the specifics of how Entrati set everything up. And here you get an idea of each person, if you hadn't seen already. Eleanor Nightingale, Salem, their code names. And she's a writer. That's interesting. Quincy Isaacs, Stepper, Sniper, Corporal, former Britannic Army. Arthur Nightingale, Broadsword, Lieutenant, Britannic Army, retired, seems. OMT Field Agent. And for these things, you have Outbreak Management Team is the OMT. International Crisis Response is the ICR. And we have Letty Garcia, Belladonna. She's the medic, which we've already kind of went over. Amir Beckett, Jitter, Technician. And then Aoi Moroshi, Chopper, Sergeant, and another OMT Field Agent. Which the leader of the whole group makes sure to let everybody know where to go. Eyes front, he says. And then we reiterate what we saw in the very beginning. We all have families back home. If we want to see them again, tonight's operation must go smoothly. So full attention. I'm looking at you, Amir. Let's begin. Now, before we actually do that, bear in mind that they are under the impression that whatever they're going to do is going to get them home. So the first deception is already in play. Oh, King of Fire, I actually like that. That could be something. There's a lot of angel, demon, god, and devil talk amongst everything that we're doing here. So I could actually see DE, putting that in there, absolutely. Especially when you get into the idea of Christ and him splitting. I don't know. I don't want to get into too much of that, but it's very interesting concept. So, moving forward, Arthur goes, let's begin. Dr. Friday has parted company with the Halvanian authorities, much to their chagrin. He's taken the former People's Party library, converting the main reading room into a technosite lab. He's taken with him a cadre of CSOS, and ex-armed forces loyalists, true believers. The regime's still getting its head around spinning the plague, to the ICR, botching infestation containment, countercriminality OPS, or ops, and trying to make sense of what Research Friday left them. So what we essentially have here, what I want to bring to attention is, first, Friday, or Entrati as we know him, apparently was in some level of cahoots with the Holvanian authorities, which might explain Major Rusalka's kind of like their what appears to be an allegiance, which actually the comic here in a second is going to expound upon just a little bit. Yeah, this may be where that kind of that connection comes from, because I think in my mind I was always wondering, like, you know, how did he integrate himself into this, that, you know, that Rusalka would know about him and be, at least from, you know, her dialogue that we have so far, seeming to be on his side, you know? No, I don't know if people being made into cephalons exist yet. To be quite honest with you, that the Orokin, I don't think exist yet in this era, like in this time period. Maybe they never will. And in fact, that may be what Entrati's either doing or inadvertently doing. But we'll get to that. The other thing is it's interesting that he calls himself Dr. Friday here. It's just strange that he wouldn't give his name and would kind of go under his own pseudonym, perhaps, apparently. That could be it too. Maybe he's trying to create the Orokin. Maybe he's trying to create a new Orokin, you know, under his rule. Maybe Entrati doesn't exist anymore. Maybe it's just the man on the wall. Maybe it's both. I don't know about the radiation wars, because let's put it this way. If they turn out to make Dark Sector another timeline or some kind of branch off of Warframe, like a legitimate one, you could make the argument that the quote-unquote radiation wars could have been encapsulated within that time period, but it would just be a loose association. It wouldn't necessarily be the radiation wars that they're talking about. So in the grand scheme, I'm not necessarily... I don't think that there's any piece of data within anything that definitively says that. But okay, and I will do that. So let's move forward here real quick. Let me just read that one little part over again, just because you are right. It says, Dr. Friday has parted company with the Holvanian authorities, much to their chagrin. He's taken the former People Party's library, converting the main reading room into a technosite lab. He's taken with him a cadre of CSOS and ex-armed forces loyalists, true believers. The regime's still getting its head around the plague to the ICR, botching infestation containment, counter-criminality ops, and trying to make sense of what Research Friday left them. The regime hasn't rumbled him yet, but they will find him. He's too valuable to let go, so we act now. Surveilling of the dining hall gives us a solid grasp of their numbers and disposition, which Quincy has to chime in. Don't mention it. These are conventional combatants, uninfected by the technocyte virus. So that's interesting. It looks like the Scourger are kind of doing their own thing, which, again, if they're going to be the Grineer, that does kind of make sense. 2 teams, Aoi and Letty. You're to approach from the northern face of the building. And Eleanor and Amir sweep through the gallery to the lab. Friday will be in his lab, the large westernmost space. He'll be among the first to exit. Quincy has high ground atop a hotel 2 blocks away, covering the library's entrance and garden. Quincy, we need him alive. I'll take him personally. Two-sided squeeze on 3 faces. Push him out the lab. Okay, before I get any further, 2-sided squeeze on 3 faces. I can't help but see the allusion to the Tenno being a 2-sided squeeze and the Lotus with 3 faces. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but I'm at least I have to put it up there. So and I chopped the survivors 2 bits from 2 blocks away. Can do. If all goes well, we'll come out the other side with Friday in hand. A way home, and if we're very fortunate, a cure for what he did to us. That lovely speech was as much for my benefit as theirs. Half the trick of command is never letting on how scared you are, or what you'd give to know that their trust in you isn't the one thing that'll get them killed. Friday's serum interacted with the infestation in our bloodstreams. Oh, hold on, before we go to that. They're kind of skipping between time periods now. It says Friday's serum interacted with the infestation in our bloodstreams, gave us certain gifts. But a bullet is a bullet. So, we are insinuating at this point that they've already had 1 dose and they're starting to get gifts, but it's not enough. How does that... So, are the proto-frames different from the Warframes then? Because it seems like the Warframes immediately, well, at least the way that Ballast talks about it, they were given the, like, sword skin. Oh, okay. I'm reading this wrong. So they haven't been given the Warframe stuff yet. This is just... See, I don't know. This is weird. Okay. We'll get through it at the end because there's something here that's not quite making sense to me, but maybe it's as we go further it'll. So, essentially, it says broadsword, no eyes on package. Did we miss him? And Arthur says, hold position. Bugger me, what the hell is this? Secure the lab tight. Arthur, you might want to look at this. So this is where he finds a cadre of information here. And this is also where we're going to see a few things. If the virus is just beginning, but more importantly, you have your humble servant and my dearest major, which to me is the connection between Major Ruzalka and Entrati, right? There's obviously something going on between the two of them where the two of them have actually spoken and have some kind of connection. And clearly, Entrati has given his information on what he believes things need to be for everybody to survive. Halvania shall chart the course of human history for 10,000 years. So it says, Amir goes, we cleared the gallery. And amidst a bit of chaos here, Arthur finds our dear Albrecht. We'll talk about the suits here in a little bit. I want to get through this part, and then we'll get into more detail on essentially the Warframes and the proto-frames and how they differ. But Entrati says, hello. Arthur says, turn around on your hands and knees. Oh, sorry, on your knees. Hands on head. High ground a broadsword. Don't know how, but they found us. And Entrati says, I gave them the address. Interesting that he can actually hear what's in Arthur's earpiece. You won't kill me. Arthur says, on the floor. What I will do is snap both your arms and go for pizza. Remember that, too. It says, get on the floor. And Entrati says, no. Letty lets him know real quick, we have to leave immediately. And Entrati says, I will depart. However, I am leaving you these as a gift. And Quincy, being, the man that he is, huff, you dicks still got bikes? Yeah? Quincy, yeah, sure. They're right here. Why? Some prick nicked mine, didn't he? You're my ride out of here. We get back to Entrati and Arthur. He says, if you want to survive, you will use them. One each. All of you. And soon. And Arthur tells him, hands. And then Entrati shows up behind him. Either the Halvanians will kill you, or that wound will. And it's here we see that it's actually Entrati himself who, from what it looks like, inflicts Arthur with a fatal wound. Where he actually says, you're going into shock. Something that would happen in there. Before the choice is made for you. He says, choose before the choice is made for you. Essentially alluding to the fact that if he doesn't take this, he's going to die. Do not die for the sake of pride, Arthur Nightingale. There is a future for you. You were summoned here to serve that higher, inevitable purpose. And I know you will all do the right thing. So, good point. A choice. It's an interesting little catch right there, huh? So now we basically have the Hex in a situation where Arthur is next to dead. And furthermore, they're in a very, very similar situation, which leads us back to where we were earlier in the comic, where Entrati talked about his field test. Mir says, we got to use the serum. We got to. You heard him. It's a test. We're no good to him dead, right? And then, remember this part. I think this is Owie saying it. Aren't you forgetting the hospitals full of dead people he tested on before us? And I have to reiterate how Entrati vocalized that situation. He was bringing healing, yet according to them, hospitals full of dead people were necessary. It says, Ollie says basically, oh no, I think this is actually Eleanor who's saying this. Or is that Arthur? I can't really tell because it's off screen. And we'll see here in a second. It says, I'll do it. I'll take it. I'll see what happens. And now he's like, you're delirious. We have seconds. And they basically all realize at that point there's only one thing to do. But as each of them inject their own secondary dose, we can see that something is going to happen. The infestation does a rather interesting thing to each one of them. And it makes me wonder if this is something that happens to the Warframes as well. Because interestingly enough, even though they look like they're all about to turn into something else, they basically revert back to somewhat of a human form, and essentially the forms that we see within Hulvania Mall. Whereas, you know, the two lovers say, you okay? Yeah, I think so. And that's when they realize that the Scourger are right there. And riddle them with as many bullets as they possibly can. And what looks to be an absolute massacre of all the Hex. Don't forget these nice smiles down here. And further, the Hex look quite different here, don't they? Now again, you can make your own assumptions here about things, but their eyes changing does seem a little bit weird. And with that, they essentially assume the powers that each one will get. Ah, that's a good one. Yeah, the Lotus with the Tenno. Yeah. I like that. I like that. And of course, the Scourger just weren't going to be enough. And Arthur reiterates, we all have families. Families we'll never see again. But maybe that's for the best. Given what we've become, what we now know, and the impossible thing we find ourselves obliged to stop, together, always. And I definitely printed mine out. So, there are quite a few things to take away from this particular comic. But we can definitely, if nothing else, see that there is a distinct difference in at least what I would consider the behavior and even the power sets of the Warframes versus the Proto-Frames. But I have to stress that, again, one of the things that we've never actually seen yet, technically, aside from Umbra, is a Warframe without a Tenno. But Umbra does bring up a very interesting, let's say, inconsistency in that if the Technocyte has an innate fear or incompatibility with the Void, it makes Umbra very unique in the fact that it appears that Umbra has Void power without the use of a Tenno. Okay, but it's true with Jade and Stalker. Okay, yeah, definitely with Stalker. He has void power as well. Jade, I still not 100% certain that when the power came, that there was Tenno involved. I'm not saying that there isn't or that there is. It's just I don't have any type of real confirmation of it. So I tend to try to hold confirming things that I can't completely confirm. So, but we can definitely see here that the Technocyte gave powers to certain people, but not all. Hence, the hospitals full of dead people that were administered this stuff. And I can't help but go back to, again, let's just do this because I think it's important. We have to kind of talk more about...
I went among the denizens of the plague year like a savior, my hands filled with healing.
Basically, the next
to those who follow their humanity may not last. My deliverance may yet consume them. The human swallowed up in the sacred beast. And if my wayward disciples turn on me, what words of comfort shall I have?
He knew that they were going to turn on him.
This
or at least he assumed it. And it's funny because when we originally read this passage, well, I guess I'll let him finish here.
As their loyal doctor, I have taken repeated samples from them. The sight of their technocyte-riddled cells mutating gave me fresh vision.
It's just when you...
I could take this material, work with it, forge new creations. Eagerly, I brought the samples back to Deimos and began to cultivate them.
So
it was Lloyd who pointed out the singular attributes.
Don't worry about that part. So what the point that I'm trying to make with this is that when I look at what happened and I hear how Entrati describes it, it puts literally everything that we've seen from the Requiem, the Requiem words and the story within that, to everything within his notes. Hello, Gimpler. It puts everything in doubt because we can clearly see here that within this section, he has a much more rosy opinion of how he's doing things versus the people that he's actually doing it to, which, would line up completely with what Entrati has done, his entire, with everything we know. Let's see, is the Scourger evil? It's very possible that the Scourger are kind of like the Grineer in the fact that they're more just, quote-unquote, doing their jobs. I don't necessarily know. It does seem that Major Ruzalka has a kind of nefariousness about her, but I can't necessarily say that the Scourger themselves are some, like a mercenary group or anything else like that. They could just very well just be, following orders for the most part. It's tough to say with that. I think we will learn more about it as, obviously as 1999 shows. I hope that there's, in 1999, I really, really do hope that we end up fleshing out 1999. Like actually seeing, I just want to make sure he's not here. Just seeing more of the progression of how things go within. Like, essentially how when Whispers in the Walls, we got to kind of come back to the Sanctum a couple times with, Dante and stuff like that. I hope that we do a similar thing throughout the course of next year where, we'll uncover more things and, like, get more and more information regarding 1999, because I think with the more information that we get from 1999, the better we can flesh out the origins of the Orokin themselves. But the one thing I did want to kind of bring up with the comic and with our Warframes is, as Ballas refers to it. Now, again, we don't get to see the progression of how this happened, but I don't know. The way that he describes it, it was almost like the Warframes, one of their main abilities, one of the things right off the bat, was sword, steel, skin. So the comic, to me, insinuates that the Hex were special in their own integration of the general technocyte. Clearly just surviving it in the first place being a major aspect of it, right? But further, it must have, the Warframes must have required somebody that could handle the technocyte, or the protoframes, I guess. Somebody that wouldn't die from the technocyte, but then could utilize the Helminth infusion. And again, the way that we talk about it, or the way that he talks about it with the Void attuned, one would assume that the Helminth infusion actually has some kind of, void aspect to it as well. So it's really tough to say about our Helminth, because it could very well be a completely different strain than what the Helminth that we saw in in the 1999 trailer and whatnot. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But that was essentially the comic giving us information on how the protoframes came about, which is extremely telling. But now there's a little bit more to the ARG yet. Actually, I think I'm curious as to, I don't know that anybody but Helminth, or I don't know that anybody but the Tenno can hear it, really. Because unless we're talking about Umbra, these frames are, the ones that we have aren't supposed to be sentient. Like your basic frames aren't supposed to have their sentience. They're basically subservient to the Tenno now at this point, right? So in that regard, the only person who may be hearing Helminth's voice is the Tenno. So, but we got to get back to this, because, like I said, there is a bit more. Let's see here. Easiest way to get there. Then you have all, like, it's a very interesting thing. Here we go. This is where I wanted to get to. It's a very interesting thing when you have so many of these moving pieces outside. Let's see. The golden aura got hinted at in one of the trailers too, by the way, during that golden aura. You mean the one that the drifter aura? You mean with the hand and stuff? Zerg, is that what you're referring to? Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, again, that it's weird because that seems to happen when the Lotus is involved. So we'll see. But we can report a dangerous sighting, which I think is crazy. It's very interesting how they did that. It says, your safety is our priority. It takes a village to keep you secure, healthy, and monitored. That's why we need your help to surveil your fellow passengers closely and tirelessly for any potential dangerous signs or behavior. Remember, this is for your own good. So, you get a bunch of different sightings here, right? And in the end, using the information that we have, you're essentially asked to put this all together to give a recreation of what occurred. And it's here where I'm going to have to give quite a bit of credit out, because this particular thing and how it was done is nothing short of impressive. So the ARG Ricotta Discord and the official Warframe Discord were apparently the most instrumental in getting the people on there. Looks like we have a creator named Milo to thank, Craft26, Sir Quaxalot, Raccoonison. I just want to make sure these people get some credit here, because, and Catamarano Motorizado. Got More Death, which More Death has been highly instrumental in a lot of this stuff. Let's see, Mr. Diggus and Orpheus Deluxe, Tyrus, and this is basically the answer that was given, which was submitted by Milo. But essentially, what you have to do is take all the clues that you're given here and put together your report. Yeah, I mean, the amount of work that went into this is just, it's crazy. It's really something special. That's what I want to make sure that the people who did have something to do with it get a shout out here on the channel. But what you have is every single one of them is an anonymous report. Someone was kidnapped from one of the cars. At 53 seconds. At 57 seconds, we have suspect wearing a hat was in the car where the purse went missing. Another anonymous at 103. Suspect wearing sunglasses set off an explosion. At 108, the report says the suspect wearing a jacket was carrying a bat. At 203, watch was lost in the car next to the one where the violin was lost. At 3:53, we have the watch went missing in the car with the knife-carrying suspect. 3:79, 30-passenger car is where the collision happened. 4:13, suitcase went missing from the car with 25 people. 4:59, suspect carrying a gun was in the center car. 5:22, suspect wearing a turtleneck was in the first car. 5:32, the car with 38 people was in front where the robbery occurred. At 6 minutes, car that was vandalized was next to the one with 25 passengers. At 6:06, the suspect carrying a sword was in the car with 19 passengers. At 6:53, suspect wearing a tie was in the car with 21 passengers. At 7:01, suspect wearing a turtleneck was in the car next to the one where the phone went missing. And at 8:51, car with 38 people was next to the one with the suspect carrying a broken bottle. Cluedo, nice. So, an absolute truckload of information to go through, right? But there are things that you're looking for specifically within each one of them. And looks like what we are attempting to do here is associate particular items within each one and try to discern everything that we were given. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of information in there that you need to, let's say, use critical thinking in order to find out. In certain instances, you can only get information by deducing what's not there versus what is there. Okay? And I don't, this is a very, very, very in-depth thing. Let me put in what they discerned here. And for the record here, don't get too upset at the end, because I don't think that this is completely finished yet. But in the first car, we have 25 passengers. In the second, there were 38. In the third, there were 30. Now, essentially, you can all see through the little clues there that's where all this information is coming from. It's just basically discerning which one's which. So, car 4 had 21 people, and car 5 had 19. Now, which, Pies, I think that's what it's all about right now. There's no wrong answers at this point. Okay? And even after Warframe 1999, the way that Warframe tells their stories, we're going to get 25% of our questions answered, and we're going to get another 50% questions added. That's just how it goes. So why not? If there's any type of logical connections to things, why not throw it against the wall? Because this is the time. You never know, especially within these streams that we're doing. One person says one thing, and one person has other information that the first person, didn't quite take into consideration. Now, two people start coming together. The ideas start to grow. Things start to make more sense. You get more minds on it. I mean, this is exactly how the ARG was completed. Just people coming together and BSing and seeing what they can come up with. It's really amazing when you get right down to it. So, if I would say for anybody that's doing their own theory crafting at this point, all you need to do really is give yourself a list of checks. You want your theories to be able to stand up to some type of scrutiny. So gather a bunch of information on something, put it in. There's tons of it in this game too. Warframe loves to utilize things from this quest, little aspects of this quest, and put it into this quest, and you can. They love creating patterns, and I would say everything's on the table. I've been doing a lot of studying on Carl Jung for the upcoming Warframe 1999, but King of Fire. I know this is you like this in particular, but hey, it's relevant in biblical passages and things like that. These are things that typically show up in all types of other games, Dark Souls, any number. It's a great place for inspiration, if you will. Hey, Lee, how are you? Good to see you. So yeah, do it. Throw some stuff against the wall. See what sticks. If a couple things, link up together, don't just give up on it. Keep going. See how far it goes. This game's great for jumping down the rabbit hole, because you'll spend days on a topic. In my next video, I can tell you outright what I originally planned to present this coming Wednesday. When I first asked the community what video they wanted, has changed as far as in the scope of what I was presenting by a lot, because of how much extra I was able to kind of, add in by just keeping myself down the rabbit hole, keep going. I mean, I don't see how the indifference can lose. I guess that's my main thing. So, again, based upon the information we have here, we can surmise that Car 1 had a robbery. Car 2 was vandalized. We had the one with the collision. Remember, that's actually the one that it called it straight out. Kidnapping in the Car 4 with 21 and an explosion. Man, this train is really... That's crazy. Well, I don't know. Are we like Lucifer, or are we? See, I would actually. You guys are gonna really like. Again, I can't wait for Wednesday. I would actually surmise the Tenno to be exactly what they are: human in nature, and I'll explain to you why. If anybody understands the concept of the Great Chain, they will understand what makes humans so incredibly unique amongst every entity that you can think of. Does anybody know about the Great Chain? The Great Chain of existence? I think I've talked about it in past streams, but I definitely have brought it up in passing. So, the Great Chain is an understanding not of what anybody would call religion or doctrine or ideology, but more an observation. And that observation goes like this. Amongst the Great Chain of what we would consider to be, let's say our existence. And let's include, like entities, whether you believe in God or not, God, the devil, whatever. God is at the top with, Lucifer or the devil being at the bottom. And then you have underneath God, you would have angels. And above Lucifer, you would have, let's say, demons. And then underneath angels, you would have, you would probably have like something like humanity right there. And above demons, you would have like beasts, like just cows and pigs and whatever, insects. The idea of the Great Chain works like this. God must be God. God cannot be anything but God. The devil cannot be anything but the devil. A bird can't be anything but a bird. A demon can only be a demon. An angel can be an angel. A human, however, can be all of those things in its behavior. A human can act like a god, can be a god to, let's say, their pets or their children, especially in the beginning. I mean, after all, to a child, mom is God. And in the same breath, humans can also be devils. They can be the absolute worst thing that you can possibly imagine. And in that, it makes humanity incredibly unique. Because, to other humans, we seem very unremarkable. But to every other being in existence, we are something that none of them can do. Lee, that's actually something I'm going to be getting into myself. But for right now, I would say, if you're asking me, the best creator to get the lore from, the straight lore from, who's going to do it in a way that's like, it's going to tell you everything you need, but at the same time, it's it's going to be truncated to a point where you're not sifting through multiple incredibly long videos, because Warframe's lore is crazy. But excuse me. That creator right there is probably the most, let's say, as I would understand it, probably the most right. That would be the best, like for as it is right now. To me, I just you can tell the amount of work and time that creator puts into their videos, and their videos always seem to be just stellar as far as getting information out. So that's when you're looking for just the story. That's who I would go to. Now, there's other creators out there that do good work too. Like I said, the main thing with his videos, to me at least, it's just they are they're truncated, but they're jam packed with the information you need. So there you go. Gimpler. So, I mean, that's really the question. With humans, like, why are we so unique? I've only seen a little bit from Korg, but again, I'm just giving you the person that I would recommend it to people. That's just my Stowler's my favorite. So, and he's got such a library that it's pretty amazing. Good stuff. Very good stuff. I think this dev stream isn't done, and you're going to see why in a second. I know I just can't get everything done because I keep breaking off into tangents. But I'm just going to put all this in. You basically all understand where this information is coming from. But as easy as it seems that I'm doing this right now, like the amount of work that had to go into being, for me to be able to do this so nice and easy for you all is just unbelievable. Well, yeah. I mean, again, you cannot deny, no matter what you believe, you cannot deny that humans are gifted beyond others. Sacred Tetris, yeah, that's another one. Now that if you want the entire, so say you're looking for the whole quest and explaining it along the way, like Sacred Tetris is the one for that. Those videos will go through the entirety of the quest. I just don't know if everybody has the time, because if you're looking to get like kind of a primer or getting prepared for 1999, go to his channel. There's a ton of you're gonna be watching for a while, but if you got the time for that, then you'll get an even more in-depth idea. Like I said, Stallard's just his are more compact. That's all. But at any rate, by putting all this in here and putting in, we get, thank you, yay. It says, your safety is our priority. It takes a village to keep you secure and monitored. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. They didn't change anything. Thank you for your report. Our team will review your findings shortly. In the meantime, make sure to stay vigilant for future sightings and encourage your friends and family to do the same. Confirmed witnesses may qualify for a reward and or subsequent interrogation, depending on the quality of information presented. Now, there's two bits of information here that are relevant. It would appear. The first one is that if you remember from the last stream, we had let's see, where is that stuff? We had surmised that every one of the hex have a particular like genetic code, and do I own any Warframe merch? Oh yeah, I got some stuff. I got a couple things actually. I have a couple different plaques. I have all kinds of stuff that are up on my walls, and my little brother actually made me a what is it? A deck stacker in using his 3D printer. So I have that in the back too. At some point, you never know, you might see my face at some point, and if you do, you'll see all that stuff in the background. But essentially, what these things are appearing to allude to is every single one of them is going to have their own kind of genetic code, right? That we saw in this area. And based upon this image, we now have another color and necessary piece of information. I think this one is a cytosine. Yeah. And they're actually speculating, too, that the yellow could be another color to be used. And essentially, let me just show you this, what they've come up with so far. This is where we're at with things. But at the moment, at least, even though this information is in here and they're getting very close, I don't want to include myself in there because I did not do any of this work. At the moment, if you do put in the codes, it still doesn't do anything yet. So I'm guessing maybe next week will be the end of the ARG, maybe? I don't know exactly what they're going to do. Oh, yeah, there's some... What I want to get my hands on merch-wise with Warframe, if I'm being completely honest, is I want to get a couple... I need some statues. That's one thing I don't have, and I want to get that. Yeah, absolutely I can. In the screenshot with romance. Oh, let's look at that. I already did that. Wait a second. Where's that at with the additional profiles? 1999 page. I'm gonna guess that I'm gonna guess that the let's just see. It's going to probably either be on the 11th or the 18th. Proto frame chemistry. Where's that at? Did I pass it? I must have passed it up. Where is it? Where did I? Proto frame. Good call. Nice. Here. Okay. Where are you seeing 8? Is it this the area you were talking about? No, last year was Whispers in the Wall. Yeah, Caliber Chicks. Well, Kirby man, I wouldn't get because the first profile is us, the top one under 7 more. Oh, okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah, you're right. Interesting. What I was going to say is I think that there are going to be more proto frames. I think this is just the ones that they want to let out for the moment because they're relative to the lead up of the story. The part on the left, yeah. Right there. Wait, one of them is let's see, wait. This is probably Owie, right? Because she likes online. And he's broadsword. I'm not certain that every Warframe is going to have a proto frame, okay? Because I think there are some that I think that there are, like Revenant. I don't necessarily know that Revenant would have a proto frame. I mean, very rare. You could be saying that. Arthur could be the Stalker's proto frame. If you think about it in that. That is true, Rocco. Yeah. I am interested to see how they're going to like differentiate between them, especially when you take into consider the Gemini aspect of it. It really does kind of like lend to the idea that they are different variations in different kind of dimensions, unless it's just a just a cosmetic thing. Like they're saying, hey, this doesn't have anything to do with lore wise. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, as far as I can tell. Yeah. Now, will that be the case in the end? I don't know. And again, that's another good question is will they actually like go crazy, or not crazy, but like go feral like the Warframes, or will they just turn on Entrati and stay quote unquote like mostly human? Is that an aspect of the proto frames that like is different? Maybe Entrati baked that into the infusions that he did. But Rocco, then how come they didn't grow though? Now I could see them. I feel like that he took the samples from the void infused Arthur and married that up with the gray strain to create the vessels. What do you think? It's like it's just weird. There's got to be some kind of connection with the Warframes to the proto frames. Otherwise, the Gemini skin on the fly thing doesn't make sense. Now, could it be that the Tenno is the connection that is the piece that connects time periods? Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that's very rare. I don't know. I really don't. It could. Who's he talking to? Yeah, and I think he did take. I that's what I think. I think what he injected into, or the let's say the ones that he had the hex inject into themselves, once they were already pretty much compromised through and through, I think is the Helminth infusion. But I don't think that I think that the stuff that Ballast did on top of it, the getting rid of the voice and things like that, I'm not necessarily certain that is completely tied to the Helminth strain or the Helminth infusion. That might be something that Ballast did after the fact, as like a kind of a failsafe, I wouldn't call Entrati a good guy. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think Entrati is the worst thing that ever happened to the Warframe universe. I think Entrati, and I'm sure many of you that followed me on that post the other day, I think Entrati is worse than Ballast. But that's the other thing, though. The one aspect of it that we have to consider is it Entrati? Does Entrati even live? Like, because think about this. In Whispers of the Walls, right? When we initially go to hook up with the vessel, it would appear that let's just might as well give some good visuals, if you will. Give me 1 second, and we'll head there.
Come, we have much to accomplish.
Okay. So, when we're talking about the vessels themselves, there's a couple interesting things that I really do think need to be kind of touched upon. The first being that they are, and I made mention this in my last video, they are oddly oddly susceptible to the man in the wall's influence. As we've seen, two of the vessels have already been overrun. And furthermore, during Warframe 1999, when we originally hook up with the Palm 2, and what I would guess would be to... I assume that the idea was just for us to transfer into the vessel so that we could show that we could move it around. But then the murmur redirects the transmission. So as the quest goes, it's the void taking them back to 1999. At least according to Lloyd. So now the reason when we go back to 1999, I think most people were just under the assumption that that's where we were supposed to go. That's what Entrati wanted. But according to the dialogue in the quest, it was the void that did it. And then, not only that, but you go to the back of the subway and the man in the wall is sitting there. And then on top of this, you have Entrati come down, tell us we're late, and go Albrecht Entrati, right? And with everything that Entrati's been doing, I guess the main question I have to ask is like, should we be following everything that Entrati even says? I mean, after all, even what's in the message that was buffered in the transference stream, right? The thing is, that message that we got back from Entrati, that was that we saw on the computer. Why are we just certain that Wally, or that was Entrati? That was okay. There it is, right there. That's my whole thing from the very beginning. I look at the plan that Entrati has for combating the indifference, and to me, it is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. The very things that he wants to use his, titanic giants can be overtaken by the indifference at any point. And and there's another thing, like, it's so strange because Lloyd specifically says when we come back, that thing was there. He says, Albrecht never smiled like that. That thing followed him back there, right? So he's saying this, and then later in the quest, Lloyd's like, well, my Albrecht said that we were late, so the only idea is we should arrive on time. I thought that it wasn't your Albrecht. You just said earlier in the quest that wasn't him. And I just feel like we're being walked into a trap. How about that? Well, I mean, the crazy part about it is that Wally keeps getting mad at us about the deal, right? But yet we don't even know what the heck it is. Don't you think somebody should tell us? Don't you think that our own Tenno would be like, hey, by the way, does anybody remember what the deal is about? Because I can't fulfill it. I can't fulfill the deal if I don't know what does anybody remember what I offered? Yeah, and there's where your drifter comes into play. But again, this will all get into my you guys. I hope you get to check out my video, the next video here this Wednesday. Because we're gonna be getting into a lot of this. Yeah, good point. Who says Lloyd was unaffected by the void, huh? It's completely sus. And it almost makes you question if that's the whole point. We're not supposed to know what it is. And yes. Well, no, it never changed. Oh, I guess it does change, but he changes before the clock changes, if you will. But even then, and I understand that most people wouldn't understand this. I think the idea is to make it, or to assume that once the clock changes at midnight, that's whenever he turns into the void. But in that mission, if you go to the back in the beginning, you see that the indifference is there the whole time. So there's like these layers that are potentially. Again, there's something going on here, and I can't help but think there are certain characters that we are interacting with that know way more than they're giving on. And I think the Tenno are supposed to be doing what they're doing, but it's only because it goes in line with Entrati's plan. Not necessarily because they're saving anybody or helping anybody. It's just they're just another cog in Entrati's thing, and this is just a portion of it. Well, okay, so there's another thing. I don't know if I'll be able to bring it up, but maybe let's just see.
Goes off. When what was left of my Albrecht came crawling back from the void, I swore I would take care of him forever.
This one, isn't it?
I will be honored to do the same. Company is... I cannot... If enough people bang their heads on the same... Also, she remains as she was.
No.
I wait. I do wish my Albrecht...
No.
To bet it's wonderful to see you, Tenno.
Maybe it's here.
Time to turn another page of Dante's folio? Oh, I'll just pop off and What have you discovered? Very good, Tenno. I hear his voice sometimes when I walk these halls alone.
You hear his voice sometimes when you walk the halls alone.
Insistent.
Yeah, okay. That sounds
I'll
great.
just put this all to work. Very good, Dennis.
Sorry, I'm trying to find. There is
Let's
one quote in
wake up the
particular
past. I'll
that
just
is
put this all
very
what you
unique
have
for the
gathered.
question that was just
Maybe of
asked.
use. Oh, I'll just pop off and find something to do. Let's see what we... Very good, Tenno. Put me to work, Tenno. Drusus has his... I'll just... Time to turn another page. Oh, I'll just pop... What have you Very good, Tenno.
Somewhere else? He talks about...
of stalwart mind, Tenno. Even in the face
He talks
of
about
madness. Yes, I'm sure we... a fresh opportunity.
Kalimas in a particular
No
instance,
matter,
and I'd like to find it.
what it must have cost. Maybe
unfortunately, I
I'll
can't remember
just
exactly
take another
where-
little arcanes. I'll just be patient with me, Tenno.
Justin
I'll
to
just
Sarah.
We truly have accumulated. Very good, Tenno. So much of what we do resembles magic. Oh, I'll just pop up. Sometimes I wonder how much of this Albrecht saw coming.
Some.
And then I try not to think about
Probably
it.
smart there, Lloyd.
I'll just put... My Albrecht did his best to prepare. I'll just put... I'm quite content now. Oh, I'll just pop
come
off
on,
and
man.
find... My
Just say it.
Albrecht did his... Very good.
Say the word.
So much of what we do resembles magic. Oh, I'll just pop off and find
Yeah, I
something
guess it
to
does. I could
dust,
probably do
shall
that.
I?
I don't know that. Let's just see if the words are in there. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to find the specific thing. Okay, it's not on the wiki.
To better times ahead. The daughter of Hunhow seems content. I wait upon... I helped chart and company is always our guest.
They have all the
is
other things,
still
like
with us.
how goes the Kalim. They have
I would make her more
literally
comfortable.
all. It just does. It looks
If I
like
had the
on the
slightest
wiki
idea
all the dialogue isn't completed yet.
Okay, very good, Tenno.
I apologize, guys. I don't know. I can't remember exactly
I'm
where it's
quite
at,
content.
but it's here,
I'll just
and it's
put the debris of monstrousness. Let us learn from it. Maybe I'll just take another. I hear his voice sometimes.
It's pretty,
I'll just
pretty crazy when you really think about
I
it.
am going to see him again. All satisfactory, I trust. Fibonacci cheats at Comey.
Fibonacci cheats at
Better tell-
Comey.
What news of the family, Tenno? All satisfactory. The Cavia are wary of our visitor. I have reassured them she is to be trusted.
There's
Not
another
that they
thing too.
listen
Then
to
you have the
anything I have
cavia.
to say, mind.
I don't really know how we can believe them to be on our side, to be completely honest. No, I shouldn't say that. They're on our side, but I don't think that they're on Entrati's side. Yes, I am talking about the cat being sick. That's exactly what it is. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm going to do... Let's just flip something around here. Okay. It says, according to Lloyd, there is, like I said, there's a voice line that Lloyd says. It's somewhere within his dialogue. I can't remember what it is. But according to Lloyd, Kalimos was once very sick and was kept in seclusion, but later mysteriously returned healthy. Lloyd speculates that Kalimos may have been cloned, but that isn't necessarily what happened there. And to me, yeah, no, it's there, but unfortunately, the actual dialogue line. Maybe it is here. I don't think so, though. Yeah, no, that's one dialogue line that isn't in the wiki. I'm looking right here. I don't have anything in here on Kalimos. That, aside from... Okay, here it is. Here it is. But it's again, it doesn't have the actual voice or the audio recording of it. Okay. He says, when the grandchildren were still very small, Kalimos fell sick. I did what I could, but there seemed to be no hope. Albrecht took Kalimos away, out of our sight. He told us she was recovering and mustn't be disturbed. And one bright morning, Kalimos came running up to greet us, all better. I often wondered if he simply cloned her, and if the original had died. If he did, he never gave any sign of it. So far as Albrecht was concerned, Kalimos was Kalimos. I'm glad the Kavia made it, Tenno. I couldn't help Kalimos, but we saved them, didn't we? And you have to ask yourself at this point, did we save the Kavia, or did somebody else? Because I know from that cutscene that we get, it certainly wasn't us or Lloyd who saved the Kavia. So, Well, I think there is a very, I do think there is a very, let's say that there's definitely inspiration there from The Watchmen, without question. Malachite, right? That's exactly what I'm saying. Like the fact that it happens right then when you get that scene, which is like right after that, is pretty telling. So, I guess the point of all of this is that we should just keep our eyes open to the possibility that we're always dealing with a doppelganger. It's not going to always be that way, but it's the way that people should probably be looking at these upcoming quests. Because not only do you have the Tenno's, the concept of the the doppelganger and Entrati's doppelganger, being real things. But I can't help but also add into that poster that's in Hulvania. Let's just go there real quick. We were there yesterday, the last time. Might as well go back. Oh, wow. That's a nice looking... Yeah, look at that. Very cool. All right. Gotta go. Would you trust somebody who just jacked into your head without asking? Back to Hulvania. Boop. What's wrong? Is there something here? Oh, without question. You'll see. The whole indifference thing. I hope you all can make it here for the video on Wednesday, because it's going to be one of my favorite ones that I've made. Okay, so here I know the concept is it's supposed to be the infestation, right? But I cannot help but see Lovecraftian-like tentacles in both of these, the posters, not the one with Entrati, but even this one here underneath, where it's like the infestation in a guy holding a floppy disk. It says something to the effect of like, is your neighbor still your neighbor? Shrose must be working the stand over there. And I just... Oh, I'm at 27. Well, there's that, and that's why Half-Life's in. That's why the what do you call it? You got, what's his name up here? I was actually told that they're pretty lenient on their copyright too, so it was kind of a nice, it was an easy thing, if you will. Maybe even Octopus. Well, positive, that would actually sound a lot like what most people consider Lovecraftian beings to be. So in that regard, it's I'm curious to know if, we've seen the whole Entrati in its wall form, the Albrecht Entrati, right? But I can't help but think that isn't necessarily his final form. Right? Right? Like, I don't know if anybody saw the thumbnail to Wednesday's video, but I kind of overlaid Albrecht in the wall on top of that poster there, right? And amazingly enough, it actually links up perfectly. In fact, oh, nice, dude. In the one from the Requiem, his legs are open and his arms are down. And in this one, with the Believe here in the front, his legs are closed together and his arms are straight out. And allows for, if you overlay the two things on top, it actually looks like the wall form. But then I started to think about his integration with the void and the infestation, and I started considering that these lines here, right? Whereas, sure, they could look like just like regular, let's say, just artistic kind of little design in the back. I can't help but think that those could they not be appendages? The password to Byte is... hold on. Hold on, I gotta pull up the ARG because I can't remember. Okay, it's callback. The password for byte.kin is callback. In fact, anybody that's following, number 1 is Kra Jahu Zata for lore. Cheat is 1440. Paper is cacophony or cacophony. Speak.kin is embrace the unreal. Byte.kin is callback, and Firebreak is contact. It could be, but then I was actually thinking that would be more on the lines of the thing that's above him. Yeah, it's up to you to determine which Lovecraftian entity Entrati most accurately identifies with, because I do think the concept of Entrati, at least in its in its Lovecraftian aspect, is a smattering of different things, not necessarily tied to one, be it Cthulhu or whoever. But yes, I definitely think that the I'm going to say it wrong, Nyarlathotep is probably a pretty good one. Look, floor. Poster. Oh, no worry, no problem. We here at Salad V hire anyone. But yeah, that to me just seems like, well, hello. That to me just seems like there's so much deceit, misinformation, and I can't help but believe that it's, for the most part, all part of Entrati's plan. And again, the thing about Entrati is all he cares about is whatever his final result, whatever result he's trying to get, which we don't know. I mean, he's given us an impression of what he wants to do. I can't do that. It's just too nice. Look. But I can't help but think that we're walking into a trap. Oh yeah, where is that thing? Which is another thing that will end up being superbly relevant, I'm sure. Yeah, this right here. Is the moon holding a child? Trying to get some of the glare on it so we can get a little bit better view. Yeah, that sword's pretty familiar, isn't it? Oh no, that's a helmet it's holding. Look at that helmet. Doesn't that seem like an old, like a dark style or Dark Soul style helmet? Oh, hello. I don't know, like, what if Warframe 1999 is just the beginning? Like, what if we're going to different timelines? Like, because you could easily make the case with that armor. That's like, that almost looks medieval in ways. I could be bullshitting here. That's I don't know. It's tough. You never know where they're gonna go. Yeah, I gotta say, since Rebecca took over, things are. It's real fun. I haven't had a complaint since. That's one thing I can say. In the lead up before she took over. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, make your own ideas out of this, but I haven't felt the need to make a complaint video on Warframe, and I've done it in the past. Well, I mean, I definitely think in regards to this photo here, the sun and the moon, this looks eerily similar to the choice things that we have. You know, cool water flows, the moon over the cloud or the mountains or whatever, and then the fact that, you know, they're holding a skana. Come on. Yeah, well, maybe this is what this is. Maybe this is the beginning. I will play Soulframe. Yes. I just, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to. So you're not going to believe this, but this week, my significant other had a very, very significant back issue. Well, long story short, she was in the hospital for quite a few days. In fact, I just picked her up from the hospital this morning. So it's been an odd week. I had originally wanted to play Soulframe this past week, but it got weird quick. So hopefully this week I'm going to get to it. Lee, do you have a Twitter account? If you do, I would consider, if you haven't already tried, just asking for one. They've been giving them out. In fact, that's how I wasn't given one. I was actually, by DE, I was talking about potentially getting one, and somebody in the chat just offered me one. That's where I got mine. So that's what I would do. I would just go into the Twitter and ask for one, and it's very possible someone will just, if DE doesn't give you one, you know, on their own, somebody else might. I'll pause it. It's okay. She's good now. She's home, and it's nice because you know, she was in there for quite a few days, but now she's home. We're gonna take care of her this week, and hopefully within, I think they said something like within 1 to 2 weeks she should be able to walk on her own again. So. I mean, the story in Warframe can really go anywhere at this point. That's the beauty of it. There are so many moving parts and pieces in so many different timelines and dimensions and stuff.
If she goes, we all go.
Yes, the floor. Yes, that's definitely. There's some kind of allusion to that. Whether or not they're going to have a one-to-one correlation, I don't know.
My favorite bite? Pepperoni with extra cheese, of course. That's yours.
And yeah, far country said that. Worst. Poetic, I get it, but not necessarily fun for all of us. Well, I mean, we already, technically, I know this is kind of a cop-out, but with War Sector being in Warframe, Dark Sector is essentially a canon part of Warframe. The only difference being that it's within the context of a game. But then you think about, you think about, the fact that Entrati seems to believe that the source code is infected, which would kind of make it seem like the game is infected, and then it opens up a whole other thing of possibilities, because again, we're talking about infested source code. A lot of things change, Yeah, I think we will see the baby at some point in, context with it being needed. But then again, consider that there's probably going to be a little bit of time for Sirius or Orion, because they are, an infant at the moment. So they'll probably just give them a little bit of, there'll probably be a year where we won't see anything. And then, the next time we'll see this Warframe, they'll be a little bit more grown up, and then it'll have more of a, let's say, stake in the story. Yeah, we may have to, go sit them. Maybe the stalker wants to go out. You never know. Babies seem pretty cute. And we probably want to start making a good impression on it now, so that it doesn't hate us later. Well, yeah, hopefully... Yeah, I like the operator, personally. I think the operator just makes more sense. I mean, I like the concept of an adult, but at the same time, in many ways, the drifter's age is awkward to me. Sirius, Orion, either one. Yeah, I mean, that baby's going to change a lot. That baby's going to be like, what was The Incredibles? The Jack. You know what? The whole of Duvarian Drifter was kind of rushed, but I think it would have made more sense if it was put in conjunction with the new war. Those two quests they're like one single quest. Yeah, I don't know about how the baby works. The baby is a Warframe. Oh man, don't say that. No. Leave that baby alone, Wally. Hey, Wally, leave them kids alone. I mean, I would assume when it comes to the age of the Drifter, it's very strange. Because either he just aged for a little while and then he stopped aging, or he aged until... No, that can't work because we saw that thing at the end. I don't know. Again, it's weird because like when we see, there you go, nice catch there. Was just another brick in the wall. Like I said, that the cutscene at the end of Duviri seems to insinuate that when the Tenno went to Duviri, they were a child. Meaning, as I understand it, that they would have had to grow up in Duviri. Right? Again, that's the aspect of it. That it's, although I will tell you, my video on Wednesday will go into a lot of that and clear up some of it. How's that? But, well, everybody, that's pretty much all that we have for the ARG this week. I think there's going to be more next week for certain. I think, but I can't say that there will be another one after that. I think because we are really getting towards the end. You never know, but we'll definitely do this again next Sunday. Like I said, please try to make it to the video Wednesday if you can. It's one I've been working extra hard on. There it is, right there. And, after the video, I think we're going to do not a stream immediately after, but either the day after the video comes or the day after that. So it'll be on Thursday or Friday. And the idea will be for that stream to just talk about the video. That's something I want to start doing. So, if you guys have problems with it, you can say it then, or, if there's things that I missed, you can say that. The comic was fantastic, okay? I absolutely adored the comic, and there'll be parts of that in the video as well. I highly recommend, if you haven't read the comic, you should go do that now. Not just for Wednesday's video, but for just an incredibly important aspect of the lore. No, I don't think that 1999 will come out as soon as the mall's closed. I actually think they're probably going to make it so that the mall's just going to stay open until, and then we'll just move from, the mall to, maybe we'll just keep going here, just be a different node. No, it definitely won't be during the dev stream. I'll make sure to schedule it away from that. But, I don't know. Next week should be very interesting, especially if we do end up getting that last piece of the genetic codes that we need. I really want to know what is that even going to be alluding to. 1999 will most likely be out. I'm guessing it's going to be out either December 11th or 18th. Because they typically do it on Wednesdays, don't they? Wednesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So I was thinking, a week or 2 weeks before Christmas will probably be when it hits. So I could definitely see it on the 18th coming out if they need the extra time. But if they're going to, release it and try to stay a week in the office before Christmas, then it'll be on the 11th. Yeah, but I think when they're talking about winter, they're more likely discussing just the winter season, if you will, not necessarily the absolute dates. So I really, Ember's doing a little dance for y'all. I don't know if you noticed that. In fact, yeah. Just like that. We have quality streams here. What can I say? Well, Rodrigo, I was too late last week, so I understand. Yes. Anybody want to throw money? Now's the time. Ember's looking quite fine. But at any rate, I very much thank you for being here. Can't wait to see you on Wednesday. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And at least until I talk to you on Wednesday. Have a wonderful rest of the time then. And I will talk at you all in the next one. Just take care, everybody, and have a wonderful day. Bye.